we can go ahead and get started since we're about 2-3 minutes in. We've got folks from kind of all over the map, from West Coast, East Coast in the United States to India. I see Canada, kind of Utah, so plenty of different places kind of represented. So for everybody today, so we're going to be talking about kind of the quantitative side of ICP, or ideal customer profile. I think this is one of those areas that again, every company has one. Every company probably sits on a bunch of data, but at least, I'm guilty of this too. I think previously I've always considered ICP to be, kind of this qualitative, kind of fuzzy thing that marketers talk about, but nothing that can actually be data driven or, really used to kind of influence how you go to market and to really help you, do go to market better. So we're going to be talking all about kind of ICP. We've got a couple of experts here today, Lane and Josh, that are going to be kind of walking us through this. But like I said, we've got the chat open. So please, everyone, make sure that you go to the chat, introduce yourself. Also make sure that you've got the chat turned on to chat with everyone, not just the host and panelists. We can kind of go ahead and get started. So for those of you who are attending one of our events for the first time, my name is Matt Bohm. I'm the CEO and co-founder of RevOps Co-op, a global community of 9,000 plus people from 45 different countries all around the world who are passionate about revenue operations. We have a bunch of different types of memberships that we offer. We do a bunch of digital events like this, along with a lot of other things, from newsletter to content and a whole lot more. So if you aren't a member already, please go to revopscoop.com. We'll throw that in the chat. Check us out for sure. And then with us, I've got a couple of folks from Patry who are essentially experts in the ICP space. So I've got Lane Hartman and the CEO of Patry, Josh. So before I kind of go into a whole spiel on you guys, what you do individually, how incredible and awesome you are, I'll let you do some quick introductions. So Lane, why don't you give us a quick kind of lowdown on yourself professionally, and then, as folks know who have at least attended our events in the past, I always like to ask for one kind of fun, interesting personal fact outside of work and professional life. And so share that with us as well, Lane. And then Josh, after that, we'll kind of turn it over to you, my friend.
Yeah, sounds good. So I'm Lane Hartman. I'm out in San Francisco, Bay Area, in the city itself. So if there's anyone from around here, hit me up and we'll grab coffee sometime. But originally from the Midwest, came out here for college some 14-15 years ago and just stuck around, and really enjoyed the lack of a very, very long, brutal winter. But definitely miss a little bit of my Midwestern roots and try and go visit as often as I can. Been in startup land for the past decade plus. This is my 5th startup that I've been on, and I've been anywhere from some of the very early original teams up to joining on post Series D and getting acquired and running through acquisition, sat on a number of different sides of the go-to-market space as well. I currently lead marketing here at Patry, but I've been on the support and customer success side. I've been on the sales side, and really have found my home in marketing over the past few roles. So I hope to bring a unique perspective to ICP. It's near and dear to my heart, especially what we're doing at Patry that I'll get into in a little bit. Fun fact about me, I'm a big dog and animal lover, and like many people, we got a COVID dog, over the time where my fiance and I were working from home, but we did it a little bit more uniquely. The dog economy was insane here, and there really wasn't much for adoption. But the shelter had run out of space, and a pregnant dog had come in, and they needed someone to take her and raise the litter. So we fostered her, and we helped give birth to 9 dogs, raised them up for their first few months, potty trained them, and really just made sure that all were healthy and safe, and wound up with one, and then worked to put all the rest in great homes. So that's how we got our one dog that came
That's
from
wild.
10 while we were both working full time. It was a little nuts, but very rewarding.
0 to 10 back to one. Yeah, I love the can-do attitude, Lane, and kind of the innovative way to, you had your heart set on accomplishing a goal, right?
Yep.
An outcome, and there's obviously a bunch of winding paths
Yeah.
to get there, and I'm sure you probably apply the same thinking to I'm sure professionally in the way you market as well. So that's
Oh
awesome.
yeah. A lot of fervent Googling
Yeah.
for both.
Nice. All
Yeah.
right, Josh. Well, you've got a one-up Lane on the personal fact. Like, give us a quick lowdown on kind of you, professional background, and then yeah, something kind of interesting on the personal side.
You bet. Yeah, it's always hard to one up Lane. Lane's one of the most connected people out there. Josh Eller's here, broadcasting right now from Utah, originally from Southern California, beach bum, early days. And right now, obviously leading Patry. Professional history is really interesting, starting in tech sales, actually starting in pest control sales for 4 summers, door to door, knocking those down, leading teams, and then jumping into tech sales after that, following time for my undergrad degree, and moved out to DC. Got a little bit of the GovTech experience. I led a company's and launched a company's government-focused business, a company called Metalogics. I was going to Georgetown at the time for graduate school. Got recruited to start the government business at Qualtrics, which brought me back here to Utah and launched that, really focused on the state and local government, led sales and operations and a whole bunch of things. And then got into a company called OpenGov, which is where I met Lane. Lane was my head of content. I was head of marketing and a whole bunch of other things. So I've got this unique perspective of sales leadership, marketing leadership, revenue operations leadership that led us to really start what we're doing here at Patry as well. Fun fact about me is you might not find a greater Jimi Hendrix fan in the world. I grew up, I remember 11 years old, I heard some music coming from my dad's room. It ended up being Purple Haze from Jimi Hendrix. Started playing the guitar right then. So I've played the guitar for almost 30 years now. Blues, classic rock. Lane and I actually share that love for that genre. My dad went to see Jimi Hendrix as a kid, told me about the experience. When he must have been 21 at the time. So that's the fun fact about me, Jimi Hendrix fan for life. He is the GOAT.
That's awesome. I love hearing that. And while I won't ask for this at the end of the call, I do expect at some point maybe some like acoustic guitar or some sort of song on ICP to come out and be published maybe after this. I think Lane can probably write a couple of lyrics, a nice chorus to go along with that, and Josh, you can play and sing. So you heard it here first, folks. That'll be coming. I saw the heads nodding. That's the only confirmation I need from Lane and Josh. So wait a couple.
Go.
That out.
We can come up with something.
All right. Well, Lane, I'll turn it over to you to start to kind of give us the lowdown on ICP. Probably start with like what it is, why it's important, and then we can get into kind of the meat of things and talk about how people can kind of actually start to leverage it and deploy kind of strategies, tactics around it within their company and organization.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll kick it off. First, I want to say we got a lot to cover, probably more than we can really get through. I'm going to be sending out all of these slides to everyone as part of the follow-up. And then we do have a companion ebook on ICP that gets even more tactical and has some worksheet-like sections to it. So you can find it on your own. And then what I think is even more important is we're super focused on the finding and then a piece of the application so far. We also want you to wrap your head around just how much you want to integrate this within your business. So quick agenda. First, we're going to set the stage. What are we addressing here with ICP? How do we think about it? And what do we think it should mean to the market? We're going to break down the ICP. We like to talk about it as thinking like a CEO. There are realms to your ICP. It's beyond just what you can sell to quickly. It's around the whole go-to-market motion, and then I think the whole company motion. And then, what are the signs of a good deal in there that you should be thinking about right from the get-go, as you have your pipeline and opportunities. We're gonna look into our view on the ICP maturity curve and hopefully establish where you are in your journey and where you'd like to go. We're going to get a little bit more tactical in finding your ICP. That we're going to go pretty quickly through because it'll be, a good part of the follow-up material for you to go do it yourself or start using us for free and try that out. We're not going to really turn this into a sales demo. Then we're going to talk a lot about applying your ICP in the selling motion elsewhere in go-to-market. And then what's our role in finding and applying? That'll be real quick. We'd love for you to reach out after if you want to actually have a demo, but that's not what we're trying to do here. And then, hopefully we'll have a little bit of time for Q&A. I got the question and the Q&A module and the chat module open here that we can, hopefully keep up with some of them as they come. So don't be shy. Reach out if you got something to say. So, Josh, I'm going to kick it over to you briefly on, really setting the stage here. What's the problem looking like?
One consideration everyone needs to have in mind, especially on the tactical front, is we all know, especially in this function, that our job in large part is to ensure sales efficiency is as high as it can be, that our reps and our tech and everything that kind of associates itself with the go-to-market motion is well operated. And one thing that people really don't consider is the actual cost of pursuing the wrong deals. I would ask you, each of you, to really consider this. Is there an opportunity cost, the cost of labor, the cost of tech, the cost of X, Y, or Z that associates itself with your company? The lack of ICP fit data, or the ability to really prioritize opportunities leveraging data, cost companies over $200 billion per year. I have contributed to that cost. I'd like you tactically to consider what each sales opportunity costs your company. Obviously, there's a band. It will vary based on opportunity size and scope and things like that. But that's the first tactical thing that I'd like to approach with you, is to really quantify that for your company. Second is, as we jump on to the next slide here, Lane, the economic state of SaaS specifically, but really anybody in operations, is we know that inefficiency is a killer. There are lots of heads rolling in the market right now. Macroeconomic circumstances are what they are. And it's really about doing better with what we have. It's really about focusing our resources, our time, our reps, our teams on the highest priority opportunities with the highest propensity to win, with the highest propensity to renew. So we're going to be talking about this in terms of setting the stage and then how to do it. When we look at some statistics across the US specifically, if you look just at sales, those we partner with in RevOps, very specifically, this is 13% of all US jobs. Globally, that number varies by country, but understand that this is a big part of the economy in whatever country you're in. But right now, and emerging from the pandemic, during the pandemic, 23% of reps were passing their quota. That number varies by industry, of course. But on top of that, we have 40% of reps leaving companies within 12 months, whether voluntarily or involuntarily. So the average years of tenure for a SaaS specific sales rep is 2.5 years. So we're having to operate with all of these circumstances. So our talk track really today is about how to focus our resources so that we can get the most out of what we have and succeed despite the economic circumstances we have.
Absolutely, Josh. It's about, really finding what you and your company does best, focusing on that so you can really make the most of your time everything has an opportunity cost, and everything costs quite a bit of money, especially in this day and age. So, quick little wrap up on why to prioritize ICP. I want to have just a personal reflection that you can have in the back of your mind and see how much this discussion might apply to you. But for all of you out there, think, how confident are you that the majority of your seller's time is actually spent on winning opportunities? Think back on the last quarter, the last year, how many deals did y'all pursue that you wish you really hadn't? Maybe it was a lost cause this whole time, you knew in the back of your head, or maybe you won it, and it's just, that sometimes you win something that you really didn't, wish that you didn't win, and that can cripple you in a certain amount of ways too. How confident are you actually in your ICP? And then what decisions does your ICP influence? And we're gonna talk a little bit more about what it should, and then how much do you actually stick to your ICP throughout the company, even beyond the selling motion, but from marketing all the way through. Now, a couple funnier slides here, but this is the mindset change that I'm hoping that we see, especially in the leaner times that we have. Classic Wayne Gretzky quote: "I'm a huge hockey fan. You miss 100% of the shots that you don't take." And this is a pervading kind of mindset that I see, especially in sales. Much love to them. Sellers are kind of an athlete mindset. There's nothing that they can't win. And but the difference between a good hockey player and a bad hockey player, a good basketball player and a bad basketball player, is understanding what a good shot looks like, finding those good shots, and then being able to take 100% of those, where you can really focus on your sales effectiveness. So it's not about boiling the ocean. It's not about shooting your shot every single time. It's about putting yourself in front of a good shot, finding those, and then being able to take all of them. Because if you're spread way too thin, taking every single shot that's available to you, you're not going to have nearly the amount of success that you would otherwise. And just a quick little sidestep as well, for anyone out there who knows Jeff Foxworthy. He's got famous for his "you might be a redneck if" jokes. And really, there are a lot of warning signs on when something is not in your ICP. So maybe you'll have his voice in the back of your mind. It might not be in your ICP when they're saying, "Oh, we love what you're doing. We have the need, but we don't need all of your features, and we balk at the pricing." It might be your biggest deal ever last year, but this year it might probably, it'll probably churn, right? What waste was there in that motion? It's been stuck in the same commit stage for far too long. More and more, I'll let y'all read those, but we'll keep moving along. So kind of current state of ICP as it is now, and I'm a marketer, and I've been on this side. Marketing, hopefully they get together with everyone in the company to try and come up with what their ICP is. Hopefully some data goes into that. Often that gets kind of put into a little bit of a black box, and then marketing will have their ICP. But this is actually a direct quote from someone that we were talking to on the phone, a prospect of ours the other week, is, hey, so marketing has their ICP, a little bit of a black box. They're using it in their own way. But, once it gets to sales and then beyond in the company, it's kind of the broad side of a barn. And so this is what we want to open up on the tactical side. So moving on from there, first we're going to spend the next few slides very quickly breaking down the ICP, how to think about it when you're constructing your actual ICP. So there's the org side, what companies are you going after, or entities are you going after? Who within that on the contact side are you going after and is in your sweet spot? Do you need to have present in a deal? And then suite specific, product specific, region specific, kind of tweaks in there that may give you different shades of your ICP, depending on what it pertains to, or different ICPs altogether. So on the org side, you want to start thinking about company size, company stage, company revenue, industry, geography. Things may be more or less important, based on your company, based on your industry, based on what you're selling. So start thinking about that. What within that is going to be specifically relevant to you, And some things may even surprise you. Contact level, their title, their role, their seniority. Are they buyers? Are they champions? How much pain do they really have? What job mobility do they have as well? Are you best for people who have been in that role a long time, and really know the lay of the land? Are you best for people who are really upwardly mobile, looking to get these wins and then kind of move up? And David makes a good point. We really want to narrow down the traits that define your best customers. We'll hit on that a little bit later, so you can then really engage accounts that look like them, to repeat that success and then arrive at that success a lot more quickly with a lot less friction than you would otherwise, where you may win a deal when it's outside of your ICP, but I'm going to almost guarantee you it's going to take a lot more to get there. And then, suite specific or otherwise, you may have multiple ICPs. I kind of mentioned this already. So, Josh, you're a CEO here. How do you think about ICP now that you are an initiate in the ICP church of go-to-market, effectiveness?
For me, it's not as much about, and we often talk about this in RevOps about the magic number, right? For every dollar of sales and marketing effort we put in, how many dollars of revenue do we get out, or some semblance of that? For me, it's about the retained dollar and the ultimate customer lifetime value that we render. It's not just about who can buy. We can go sell this to anybody, but it gets a little deeper. Who can purchase this smoothly? And then a little bit deeper, who can be successfully implemented and serviced and find value? And most importantly for all of us should be, who will become our next reference customers that will renew, that will grow? If we can focus there, I like David's comment here that by narrowing on these basic traits, these attributes, I'd posture to everybody that we should be narrowing on the attributes of the renewed customers and the renewing and healthy customers beyond anything else. If we can start there, that's thinking like the executive your company needs at this point.
Yeah, exactly. We want you to be able to hone in on your future reference customers. Find what they look like, and then find where they're laying in hiding within your existing pipeline or within your lead list or something like that.
And where Lane or Josh, I think you all brought up the like those 3 buckets before, the like org level, the suite level, and the contact level or person level. How should folks be thinking about either one, prioritizing them, which has the, call it the biggest bang for your buck or can have the most impact? Like, what would be if you had to prioritize, or 1, 2, 3 on those, where would you start? And kind of why? Just thinking about, again, rather than trying to do all of them at once, if folks aren't doing anything today, what would be the order, and why, and what's the kind of potential impact on those things?
Yeah, now I want to caveat that by saying it is going to be dependent on your product, on your industry. Some things may weigh more heavily than others. I think on the very basic front, when you're thinking about who your ICP is, you want to think about what your product is and who your product is made for. Now, that's typically going to align on the organizational level to begin. What size organization, what industry are they in? Things like that, to have the best fit of your product, to the market. And what those entities usually sit within the market is usually something to do with an organizational side of the of the ICP. And then with that, I would follow on contact. You got to make sure that you're getting the right people within there that can actually buy. You're getting through to the right people. You understand who they are, and that you can identify them. And then, beyond that, I feel like there's going to be a few additional considerations on the, on that third point. What do you think about that, Josh?
I think it's all about the buyer on the other side, right? So the companies, like Lane said, and then within which we've got the personas, we've got the firmographic content, right, that we're talking about. Largely our CRMs have that. in terms of industry and location and company size and revenue bands and all of the above. But it's really about getting to the person at the core of that company, right? You know, there are psychographic attributes to consider, back to David's point too, that are motivations and aspirations and that you can really get to the core of. I would highly recommend, obviously, having this outer reach of getting into the companies that make the most sense, and we'll talk about how to do that here in a moment. But it's really about reaching the people within those companies that have cataloged pains and priorities that are aligned to what we see in other companies in aligned industries.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's beyond hitting the number for your quarter, and I know that's extremely important, and always right near the top of mind. We're gonna, we've discussed how greater ICP focus will help with that, but really it's also about thinking about the overall lifetime value, finding those reference customers where you can sell them efficiently, you can implement them efficiently, you can service them, keep them happy efficiently, you can turn them into references they can help you sell efficiently, and you can renew and cross and upsell them. That's really thinking about total business health. And I think having a firm grasp on your ICP and being able to hone in on that is going to serve all of those different layers. So if we think about what makes a good deal, it's that winnability, it's that serviceability, and it's renewability. And that's overall company health and company efficiency. You're barking up the right trees, you're focused on the right deals, and you're ingesting lifetime customers that aren't going to gunk up the works of the intricate gears within your company, right? What are your salespeople trained to sell to? Hopefully it's your ICP. Hopefully your ICP reflects what your professional services team is capable of easily, implementing and servicing. Hopefully your ICP also reflects maturity level and training of your support organization. And then also success and renewals. Hopefully your ICP aligns with what your product roadmap looks like and your product maturity as well. So all of that to think about. And that kind of leads us into this ICP maturity curve. There are steps to the process. On the very base level that we're going to get into right after this is ICP discovery. Do you understand your ICP, and can you run a few motions based on that ICP? Most typically it'll be with marketing. One, all right, what's our ICP? So what kind of watering holes thus are we going to go after? Within leads coming in, who should we focus on further qualification before we turn those into MQLs? And we can really judge ourselves across pipeline that's being created, and hopefully pipeline based on ICP fit. Things like that. ICP operationalization. A little bit of a mouthful. I'm going to probably refine that in future slides, but you can apply your ICP more broadly and cross-functionally to improve your efficiency, to grow your revenue, improve alignment within the company. That's step 2. Step 3, ICP monitoring and tactical expansion. This is kind of getting into the 4D chess version of ICP. Okay, you understand your ICP right now. You understand the parts of your company and your product that goes into fitting within that ICP. How well are you actually serving that? And then what is needed functionality wise, what's needed training wise, enablement wise, hiring wise to better serve that. Then you can identify, where you want to expand and how to get there. So you're not just moving up market to moving up market. And you're doing this with a very tactical view of what your ICP is, where you want to take that, what goes into that ICP, and then how are you going to get there. And we hope we'll get a little bit later on in what we do. We hope to really help assist that, especially on the monitoring side, but as well as on the operationalization side. And a little bit early for me to say that cleanly. So let's talk about first finding your ICP. That's step 1. Josh, I know you found this one, but really it's about paying attention to who's using your product the most. What David's saying, defining your best customers and understanding what exactly they look like. and why they connect with you. So this, I'm going to skate through, we'll send this out, but here's a traditional process of finding your ICP. This will also be in an ebook follow-up. It's gathering all of that data, gathering your customer satisfaction data, surveying, conducting some interviews, really focusing on your reference customers, your renewed customers, and then that cross-functional work that needs to be done across the organization. Created this little cheat sheet for you as well, so you can really kind of get in on that firmographic data, on that the data for individual companies, and then finding what the totals are, where that really lies, so you can kind of come up with this ICP data that you can then judge your fits based off of. Or you can just use us. What we do as a product is we have a way for you to take your CRM data swamp, and then you can hook up with us, either our platform, which works on Salesforce natively, or we have an API that ingests that data. We use linear regression based machine learning to come up with your ICP clusters, and then give you a lens on what those clusters really entail. And then our platform applies that to your existing sales pipeline. And then you can also use the API to have that data fit everywhere else. So, Josh, anything else to add there? I know that we're going to hone in on ICP fit pretty soon, and I'm trying to get us in the meat of this application conversation.
No, I'll hold it till then.
Cool. So with that, I'll kick it over to you a little bit. Now, we've talked a little bit about the finding of the ICP. Hit us up if you want to get more tactical on that. And you can also use us for free, for Salesforce users right now, to actually get in there and start finding individual ICPs. But Josh, I'll kick this over to you right now.
Yeah, so that initial swath of what is our ICP, I think, just to double click on the CPO of Typeform's comment, one basic way is just to look at usage and see who's using and finding value early on. That can be your early ICP. So, in the form of tactics, work closely with your product and engineering teams and whoever is on that front to really understand those data points about active users, value-driven efforts, and things like that provide insights into who is using the product, right? That's early. If you have an ICP that's already established and well vetted and revenue is being created upon it, it's really important for you to be refining what that ICP is. ICP, as many talk, is like an onion that you keep unpeeling and discovering and finding more information about too. So when you're in a company and you have this established approach, or you've established it yourself, often people just get stuck in this contact and account identification sector of ICP application. Okay, listen, we need to jump in. We need to find contacts associated with our ICP. We need to find accounts, right? The Zoom infos, the seamless AIs, and the list goes on of companies and tools that do that is out there in spades. And a lot of companies stay there, but they don't go beyond the identification into other forms of application. One area that I discovered as a sales / marketing / ops leader over the years is that you have to push the ICP intelligence into the later stages of the sales process. You have to take it into pipeline management and revenue generation. You have to take it even beyond that into CS and revenue retention efforts. So when you look at ICP application, it's really looking at, okay, if we apply this to pipeline and revenue, in-flight deals have to be viewed through the lens of ICP. You can therefore prioritize opportunities. You can predict forecasts a lot easier. You can dictate next steps. And we'll show you a little bit of that here in a moment. And then taking that beyond net new revenue generation into retained revenue. You can likewise prioritize these opportunities based on this ICP data set and really understand who is most likely to renew, who's in danger, where are the value gaps, where are the upsell and cross-sell opportunities. So tactical takeaway is expand the application of your ICP once identified beyond top of funnel efforts into pipeline and into CS operations.
Yeah, thank you, Josh, for that. And that leads us into our next point on, what are the tactics of that tactical observation that you had right there on applying it to your actual pipeline. So for within our product, we have a new metric that we champion called ICP fit. And we hope that you're able to arrive at this, within your work, whether you use us or not. But really, it's trying to come up with a metric that you can apply to your pipeline and apply elsewhere to see how closely does each opportunity or each account or each customer actually fit within your ICP, and then what goes into that. And Josh, anything else to add here? From your lens as a former sales manager / current, revenue leader and CEO here at Patry, how do you view ICP fit within this?
I feel like it's one of the most important metrics to track. As a salesperson, my time is everything. And if I'm working on a deal that has a fit score of 23, as you can see on this graphic, and I'm spending all my time there and I'm ignoring the 81s or 83s here, there's a problem. So prioritization dictates go-to-market efforts. And you hear Chris Orlov, who's, some of you might know him as the first sales rep at Gong. He often talks about ejecting from deals as early as possible that are poor fit. There's just not been a way to quantify that, right? So that's what we're taking to market in terms of the way to prioritize these deals based on the ICP intelligence. And I think more importantly than that, if you take that mindset and apply it to the first data set that we brought up in terms of the $200 billion that are lost by pursuing poor fit opportunities, you'll have an understanding of the problem that exists, that might exist in your company, that you need to work to quantify. That intelligence will give you the ammo to do things that you need to better prioritize the deals that you have with data.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, we have this initial thing on coming up with this metric of ICP fit, whether you use us or otherwise, and then really applying that as a data layer to your pipeline. And then beyond this, we'll have these ICP fit data sets that you can apply as a data layer to the rest of your go-to-market team that we'll talk about shortly. But really focusing down on pipeline from what Josh said and from the initial ICP fit data point is now with that data as a layer, you can look at your pipeline, also look at your commit stages, look at your forecast, think, are there low-hanging fruits to qualify out or to prioritize? Embrace saying no, because it's going to save you a lot of time and money. And then also the strength and the value that comes from the ability to unequivocally say, yes, we're going to go after this, and we can even commit to this a little bit harder. Are there risky deals that you're more committed to than you should be? Look at your commit stages with the lens of ICP fit. What is that actually telling you about the health of your quarter, the health of your pipeline? Is there anything poor fitting in there that you're actually depending on? How much of your pipeline is a fit for your company overall? And then does your forecast match up with the strength of your pipeline in terms of ICP fit? So, there's a broad usability here of this fit data set from individual contributors looking at their pipeline and understanding how they should be structuring their day, how they should be qualifying, how they should be pursuing everything in their pipeline, and then their back of the napkin calculations on what they're actually committing to for their quarter or at their weekly sales forecast meetings. They can make these decisions with more information, and they can make these decisions based off of what are the best fit deals for their organization that they can most effectively sell and service. And then all the way up through managers managing to that and better making their calls. Sales leaders, you often you usually get fired for missing numbers, right? So what are the health of those numbers that you're actually putting your name to in terms of fit for your company? Stuff that you can actually win and that you can actually service. And then, on the RevOps side, just think about how broadly you can take that fit data set and apply it to the rest of the organization. Now briefly, we haven't mentioned contact level as much yet, but we want you to be able to make sure that you can add some of those contact level things into your fit data, right? So how good of an organizational fit is this, and then are the right people within that? That's something that we take into account in the product, but if you're coming up with it on your own and not ready for us yet, you might want to think about that as well. Now Josh, with an ops hat on, taking that ICP fit data set, how else do you view how people should inject that into their organization beyond the sales pipeline and forecast that we just talked about?
And Josh,
I believe, yeah, please.
you answered Daraj a little bit in the chat. I actually had the same. I was thinking the same thing that Daraj was as kind of Lane was talking through this. So if you can hit on, call it, I was thinking of, one, early stage startups who are kind of trying to find product market fit and, might have, either like not a lot of data, not a lot of consistent data, very much like just trying to figure things out. Or even later stage companies, right? Who maybe they have like a new product, or maybe they're trying to move up market. What are some things that folks should do in those cases, or can do in those cases, to help kind of understand how to use or how to build kind of the ICP fit scores? And then maybe on this topic, right? How, are there any things that they should be doing differently, or ways that they can use that data differently that may not be the case for someone who's kind of found product market fit and is kind of entrenched and just trying to make things more efficient, more effective?
Absolutely. I think to Daraj's question, I think that's a worthy question we hear on occasion as well. And especially at a startup, you have initial ICP and you have aspirational ICP. And often everyone tries to lump ICP into the singular thing for their company, when in reality, you have to think present ICP and you have to think future ICP. So to the question that was posed, really about, hey, we've got this initial swath of customers, we've also got this larger customers that we're trying to pursue and may not be as good of a fit. I think when you're isolating that initial or present state ICP, it goes back to the CPO of Typeform's recommendation to look at product data, who's in there most, where the value is, and build the criteria around that initially. You have to have a sense for the future, though. If you're stuck in that isolated ICP, you neglect what the future growth potential could look like. My recommendation here is, again, to have a singular present focused ICP that has the criteria that look like the following: title of the people gleaning the most value, company size, company industry, a lot of the firmographic information that we've shared before, layered in with product usage information. Are they getting the value that is promised? Are they getting new value that we were not even understanding, right? The lean startup methodology is to get a product out, get an MVP out to market, learn from that MVP, glean the data, and those firmographic, the behavioral data points, you can isolate into a 10-point system that is your initial ICP. You can take that and look forward in the future. Where's your product going? Where are we going from a product market standpoint? And you have to create a hypothesized ICP for future facing customers. You might not have a product yet, but the best companies have that present and future facing view to their ICP. And Matt, to your point too, the best companies expand this mindset beyond the go-to-market function and try to make it pervasive across all sectors of their company. Often, as RevOps leaders, yes, we're here to maintain and distribute and make effective the go-to-market operation largely, But I believe the best RevOps leaders have this influence across engineering and product management and other functions, especially finance. So taking this ICP intelligence, okay, we've got sales, we've talked about this. We've talked about marketing a little bit. We can help marketing focus on which industries to work on or which titles to work on, of course. We could go deeper into PS and help organizations understand where they can show a little bit more love and to whom within the organization. Within product and engineering, most importantly, the data sets that you're creating and identifying from an ICP standpoint will inform the roadmap. What's built next? Where do we go next? What's on the roadmap? Where are we going from an industry standpoint? What do we need to build? What criteria are we missing? And so on. And that's one thing that's really interesting for us as we've grown this business is identify the multi-threaded nature of ICP within a company that just does not sit with the go-to-market team.
Absolutely. And Josh, I love the point on it being a, your future ICP being a roadmap for your company, for the features that you have in your product, for how you're going to grow your team, how you're going to train your team, where are you going? And then what is required on your side to not only get there, but then win there and effectively service there and renew there and to be strong in that future ICP. And then to get there, you got to win with where you're at right now. You got to establish your base, you got to solidify that, and you got to serve it well. And on injecting that ICP, it's the current state and the future state is always going to be how to think about this, right? How well are you bringing people in that align to your ICP? How well are you servicing them? And then being able to raise flags on new people coming in who may be a little bit out of that and going, okay, well, what additional resources is this going to require, since they're not the type of people that were really built to service effectively or support effectively, right? Or should we be worried about churn here, right? How does this affect our forecast as far as that goes? And then Josh, I know you covered the product and engineering side, right? Where are we? How effectively are we servicing where we are right now? Where do we want to go? And how exactly are we going to get there? So a lot of this really comes back to that original slide on thinking like a CEO, understanding your ICP and how that applies to who's going to buy, and thus who should you really be pursuing here. What within that segment is going to be able to purchase smoothly and on time, what within that segment is going to be able to be successful with you and also not drain too many resources, and then who within that segment is going to renew, is going to help you sell, being a reference. Are you going to upsell? Are you going to cross sell? And really trying to understand how you can zero in on that and then apply that data set to everything that you do as part of your company DNA. One additional thing in there, what else are we talking about here? It's about finding and applying your ICP. It's also another thing to think about. We have tactics, we have data, but if we're really thinking like a CEO or thinking like a leader within your company, everyone needs to be pulling in the same direction. There are individual incentives that can pull people elsewhere. Say, account on an account executive side, if they're just trying to hit their quota and they have their large pipeline, it makes sense for them to go after everyone that they think that they can win. Sometimes efficiency be damned, right? So you have to also think about how to match individual and team incentives with your ICP related aspirations. And then Josh, one final section I'm going to kick over to you is, really folding in metrics to this overall picture. So we have this individual data layer, we have application of it, we've talked about team incentives, and then for, the ops people out there, how does this fit into your overall metric eye?
I think we need to let it sit within all of the metrics that we're already tracking as RevOps leaders. So taking this ICP fit idea and letting it help inform propensity to win, predicted quota attainment, also looking at weighted pipeline coverage and things like that. If your company does that, there's a 3 to 5x rule in some companies of pipeline to expected revenue. Everything that we do related to the ICP and the specific, remember, there is a multiverse you should consider with ICPs. If you have an ICP specific to each product set, you should be considering that within your pipeline. It takes a bit of work. You've got to become quite organized in terms of what the ICP is and letting that data set inform. From our perspective, that's where we're here to help. I think we could step in and allow this data set to permeate all of the existing metrics that you're already tracking, from revenue attainment to pipeline generation to a litany of other things. Within the suite, we've got RevFit AI, which is the ICP fit score generator. ICP generator also allows you to have ICP powered forecast predictions. So if you're struggling to kind of get that forecast predicted the right way, you need another data set to help really understand where you're going. We can also avail this data through the API that allows you to attach any data set to any data set, leveraging this ICP intelligence data. A couple quick visuals, and then we'll open it up if there's any Q&A. When you're looking at, go ahead, Lane.
Oh, I was just saying, this is a quick, double click on RevFit AI for you, Josh, as we get to our visuals.
Yeah, perfect. A couple components here just to be aware of is, if you need help identifying the ICP, if you need help identifying and leveraging that data to prioritize opportunities, predict better revenue attainment numbers, also have an assistant that helps you understand where to go next in the deal based on the ICP, these visuals will help you kind of see how we do it. So first, you can see how we can layer the ICP data set by ICP fit, prioritizing and predicting the forecast, leveraging that information, identifying the ICP by the company. So a company can have this for it in macro, what is the company's ICP, but each rep can actually see the ICP for their specific territory, or each sales manager can see it for their team. And that's very unique in what we do. And on the next one, we show how we prioritize these opportunities and show the ROI. And then the next slide is the prioritization of the opportunities to better predict revenue, better maintain time management for your team, and check out exactly where you need to be focused and which of these deals you need to get the heck out of so that you can have better sales efficiency as well. And then finally, on the API front, if you've got any CRM, if you've got any BI tool or any revenue intelligence tool out there, we can connect this data set, allow you to see it and avail it within any solution that you have out there as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's cool. And I think the things that you guys hit on that, at least that resonated with me, are the like this idea of the ICP fit score, and applying that to obviously the pipeline that you have. I think Josh, you brought up pipeline coverage. I'm sure everybody here probably looks at pipeline coverage for each of their sales reps. And I'm sure we've all heard the argument before of like, oh yeah, I've got like, I might have like enough dollars in my pipeline, but like it's poor quality, or like they're not like, they're not a good fit, right? And those are common, call it excuses. This kind of cuts through some of that, and also allows you to just see like, yeah, are we kind of maybe distributing things equally across the team? Do two reps, for example, have the same dollar amount of pipeline, but does one have a higher fit pipeline than the other? And then on the marketing side, at least the things that kind of came to mind for me are, again, making sure that we're targeting the right accounts, we're marketing to the right accounts, that the contacts in our database who we're paying for, who we're going after, it actually makes sense, right? It doesn't make sense to blast a whole bunch of people that are not gonna, be a good fit, or are not at companies that are a good fit. Place your energy in the right spots and kind of aim your marketing efforts at those people. So yeah, that stuff makes tons of sense, and I can see a lot of different use cases for the product as well. So I know we're in the last kind of 2 to 3 minutes here. So Lane, Josh, anything you guys want to add as we kind of wrap things up?
Yeah, I really think in the chat, Andrew Paul McIntosh said that he took away the fact that there's an onion-esque nature of ICP, and I really agree with that. And in the application, to every part of your business. I mean, really, at the end of the day, I think it's an underserved data set, a not as well understood data set, and a very severely underutilized data set. That I think is going to have a bit of a revolution in the coming years. And really, it boils down to understanding where you are right now, why you are where you are right now, what makes you successful right now, and then being very tactical and informed with that knowledge on where you want to go and how you want to get there, and being targeted in your outreach, targeted in your selling motions, and just being overall a lot more conscious about why you're going after what you're going after on the product side, on the marketing side, on the selling side, and beyond, through to the go-to-market organization, and what data can get you there, and how can you leverage that data to keep there and align everyone else on that. Yeah, Josh, anything else to add to that?
I'll just say, to Matt's point, really think of what we shared today as context. And when a rep is saying, hey, I'm not sure this is a good fit, you can define what that means with this type of intelligence. That's it. When a marketing team says, hey, we're going to go out and blast this demographic, you can gut check that and see if it's really accurate. If a product team says we're going to go this way on a roadmap, you can be the informant. I really look at RevOps as that center of intelligence for a company that goes beyond go to market. And this data set, whether you generate it yourself, whether you leverage us, will help you have the context to operate effectively across departments and be valuable to your company moving forward. So I appreciate you all paying attention. Hope this has been valuable. This is our contact information. We'd love to connect with you at any point, and I'll pass it back to Lane and Matt.
Yeah. So, reach out. I know Matt and maybe Dylan sent out our LinkedIn info. Happy to connect. If you want to learn more about us and how we serve this problem, go to patry.io. If you are interested in our ICP Engine API or RevFit AI, you'll have these links in the follow-up materials with the PDF slides. Submit a demo request. RevFit AI right now is also free for individual users. So if you use Salesforce, that's currently what RevFit AI is available for. ICP Engine is available for everything. But if you use Salesforce and you want to actually just sign up for RevFit AI, go do it. It's free for individual users. We only charge for teams. So you can plug in an individual data set and see what that ICP is and just start playing around. So if you're an individual seller, you'll get value from that immediately. But if you're a sales leader or a RevOps leader, use that as your sandbox to see what we can offer, but then also digging into your data set on your CRM a little bit more pointedly. So I hope that you get a little bit of value from that regardless.
Yeah. And thanks, Lane and Josh, for dropping some knowledge on ICP for us today. And thank you to all the attendees and folks who kind of tuned in and kind of listened live. So with that, I will let you all run. Have a good rest of your Tuesday, and we will see you all on the flip side. So take care, everybody.
Thank you. See ya.
Thanks, y'all.
Bye.